Every once in a while, a health breakthrough comes along that promises to unlock your body's full potential to help you feel better, live stronger, and do more of what matters. Introducing BlueVive with EnzymaX technology, the future of wellness bottle. It's the world's first bio-optimized blue tonic designed to deliver maximum antioxidant density. Antioxidant density directly into your mitochondria. Sourced from wild purple cauliflower, pressed at its peak vibrancy, then stabilized through our proprietary AG1 process. BlueVive gives you all the benefits of natural anthocyanins without the messy plant matter. Studies suggest that anthocyanins are rich in antioxidants, and antioxidants, as you probably heard, neutralize free radicals. And we all know free radicals are bad, right? They damage cells, they speed up aging. They've even been linked to cancer. That's why BlueVive is more than just a tonic. It's your daily defense against oxidative stress, inflammation, and yes, the chaos of modern life. You want glowing skin, reduced inflammation, better focus, fewer regrets, reduced inflammation? I already said that one. It's not magic, it's science. Backed by plants, enhanced by tech, optimized for you. You know that wasn't real, right? None of what I said was technically false. It was just a chain of selectively framed facts and words stacked together in a way that sounds like science but is mostly marketing. Well, it's mostly smelling like bullshit if I'm being completely honest. And that was done on purpose. You see, that's the thing about modern wellness products. They don't have to lie. They just have to tell you a good, convincing story. Flashy, buzzy, sciencey. Here's the thing. This video idea started because I boiled a purple cauliflower for a recipe and that I really wanted to share how cool purple cauliflower water is. It's this deep, inky blue color pigment that's really awesome. And when you pour it into something like lemonade, the anthocyanins change the pH level. The yellow lemonade and this blue water you'd think would go green, but nope. It turns it hot pink, like magic. And you could probably make some fun color-changing cocktails with it, but I saved some of it and I was just putting it in bottles and I was pretending I made my own wellness tonic, and that's where the idea of BlueVive or Blue Life or New Blue or Blue Juice or who knows what, I just came up, and then this question popped into my head, like a song that just won't leave. Why do people fall for wellness grifts? For most people, health isn't some hobby you can optimize with powders. It's whether you can work to pay your bills, take care of your kids, or afford to see a doctor. And that's why these pitches, this idea that you can biohack your way to immortality for $50 or $100 a month, feels kind of gross to me. You see, the science supporting them, it's not great. The amounts of vitamins and minerals aren't usually at effective levels. It's all very iffy. You know, are they scams or scammy or just scummy? Whether you're fixing your gut or improving your fiber levels, I see ads for them all day long. Sponsored commercials in the middle of podcasts and videos. You know, I started watching videos debunking and exposing these products. For example, Scott Carney has a whole channel on exposing wellness scams. Josh Brett has a video on green powders. And I recently watched a few videos on the healthiest guy on earth, Bryan Johnson. He had a More Plates, More Dates interview him for 4 hours. Super interesting stuff. And there was a 31-day short series by What I've Learned, picking apart a lot of claims made by Bryan in the Blueprint Protocol. As one example, in this video, he's attacking his competitor, AG1, the green powder, of deceptive marketing tactics, only to possibly be doing them itself. This isn't about one product, blue or purple or green powders or red powders or gummies or gummy bear juice. It's about us who is receiving these messages. There is somebody selling potentially questionable products telling you you need to maximize your health. From Bryan Johnson on Blueprint going on and on about his nighttime erections as a selling point, you know, I can't believe that is a sentence I actually said out loud. And then there's the other guy who ate raw meat to getting jacked, selling supplements to be jacked like him, only he was on a crap ton of steroids the whole time. The LiverKing, who, by the way, is also named Bryan Johnson. What are the chances? That is wild. Look, these might be grifts, maybe, I don't know. But what they can be is very profitable. And how they convince us is an important part of all of this. So to answer why, I started with Robert Cialdini's book, Influence, The Power of Persuasion. In Influence, Robert Cialdini explains that people rely on an automatic response, what he calls a click-whir response, to deal with the crazy, complex world of decision making. Now, these shortcuts usually help us, but they can also be turned into weapons of influence to manipulate our behavior. Now, if you've ever read Nobel Prize winner behavioral economist Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow, it's a similar premise. Humans have these two systems. System 1 is intuitive, automatic, but prone to biases. System 2 is more critical, analytical, effort-driven. It's more purposeful thinking and decision-making. Basically, Kahneman explains how the mechanics of the thinking brain works, and Cialdini explains how those mechanics can be used to manipulate you. Now, Cialdini lays out seven in later editions. He lays out 6 principles that make us say yes. And when you look at how wellness products, and honestly, any product for that matter, are marketed, I think it's important to learn about them so you can be more aware of them. Tap into that system 2 of thinking that is critical or even purposeful. First, there's reciprocity, giving people something for free. Now, the best example is those beloved Costco samples everyone clamors over. It's well known that these increase conversion from tasters to buyers. It taps into that automatic response that when we're given something, we feel we owe something back. In the book, Cialdini mentions how even when we say thanks, some people, including myself, sometimes say much obliged. Now, that's a very old-timey or fun way to say thanks.
Much obliged.
But it means literally, I am in your debt for your kindness. Wellness products often offer you a free sample pack or to get you started, but you just have to pay for shipping. And once you try it, you may feel like you owe them a purchase. Now, part of reciprocity is this thing called rejection and retreat technique. Now, companies might make a big ask, join us for a month of health coaching. And when you click no, they may come back with something smaller, like 1 or 2 weeks at a lower cost. And by comparison, that feels more reasonable and still lets you fulfill your obligation. That's the principle of reciprocity. The next one is scarcity. You've heard this one before. Only 3 bottles left. This deal disappears in 2 hours. Act now. Now, airlines do it all the time when they're booking a seat. And sometimes they really do only have 1 seat left, but often it's marketing. Click, whir, as it were. When you see those words, your automatic reaction is, this feels urgent, even though you probably didn't even want it 5 minutes ago. Temu does this on their app all the time. I call it getting Temu'd. And there's authority. That's the next one. We're all taught to listen to authority figures growing up. Teachers, doctors. My favorite was always the toothpaste ad from the 80s. 4 out of 5 dentists approve blank. Like, was there one rogue dentist out there recommending not brushing with toothpaste? But it worked because we all default to authority. Wellness products take advantage of this by putting an actor in a lab coat, or worse, making deals with actual doctors and experts, and then the lines blur even more in social media. Which brings me to the next one, social proof. Instagram testimonials, before and after gut health reels, even little pop-ups on websites. Hey, Alex from Toronto just bought this. And suddenly you're thinking, oh, people like me are buying this. I'm in the right place. And don't forget the next one, liking. The influencer selling you this stuff isn't just the salesperson. They're your friend. They are someone, even that doctor or authority figure. They make you feel understood. On Pivot, a podcast I listen to, the hosts Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway have straight up said that ad reads by the podcast or YouTube host convert better than traditional ads. Companies know this. That's why I have a cloud service I don't need because Prof G told me and he gave me a discount code. I'm just kidding. But the last principle is consistency and commitment. People want to seem consistent with their thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors. Start with the tiny commitment, like, say, answering a wellness quiz about your sleep habits or signing up for a free 2-week challenge to take charge of your health. Now you feel like you're the kind of person who cares about your health. And when they pitch you their $500 coaching program or their $150 a month revitalization package, it feels natural to say yes because you're being consistent with who you are. Now, as a side note, the last one, number 7 that I mentioned, Cialdini added unity, and it's like being part of a larger community of belonging to something greater than ourselves. I'll hit on that later on. I guess what I'm trying to say is that persuasion isn't inherently evil or just bad. Marketers use these techniques all the time to sell us couches, coffee, candy, newspaper subscriptions, shoes, vacations, you name it. It's not the techniques themselves, it's how they're deployed. And with social media, especially because of social media, when it comes to health products or protocols, when the pitch is buy this to feel better, live longer, fix your gut, your butt, your hips, your lips, and things in between, well, that's when my alarm bells start ringing. I started wondering, why do these pitches work so well on people? Like even smart and skeptical people like you. So I picked up Maria Konikova's The Confidence Game, which digs even deeper into how and why we fall for these kinds of pitches. Like, why do we fall for the con? Also, can we just acknowledge her last name is Konikova and she's writing about cons? That's dope. Okay, maybe it's just me. Moving on. Konikova in her book even references Cialdini's principles, but goes even further. The associated con terminology like the play, the put, the rope, the tail, and so on, with the attached story of people and communities devastated by cons. A fascinating and even heartbreaking read. A Texas rancher, an art gallery director, and an entire congregation of the C. Thomas and Bebe Patton's church. And it was in that last chapter about the church that Konikova really hits home the reason we all fall for the con. See, Konikova writes, quote, "The Patton con wasn't just any scam, it was the scam of all scams. The one that gets to the heart of why confidence games not only work, but thrive the world over, no matter how many expert debunkers and vocal victims there may be. It was a scam of belief. The most profound yet simple belief we have about the way the world works, why life is the way it is, we want to believe." One of the big takeaways on why we fall for these cons, especially ones on health, is that we want to believe they'll work. It strikes right at the emotional core of who we are. Our health is literally at the center of who we are and what we can do in this life. I mean, who doesn't want better health? Listen, let me share with you how I was almost scammed. Now, it wasn't a wellness product, but I want to share how I got hijacked and how someone who is well aware of what I should and should not do, I still nearly fell for it. You see, I got a call from the security team at Google saying someone was trying to hack my email and use my credentials to access other sites. And in case you know where this is going, Google will never call you, okay? But they said my email was being hacked and I got scared. My kids were in the office with me, half talking to me, half screaming at me to get my attention, distracting me. And there I was, thanking the Google security team for calling me while also asking them to send me proof they were really from Google. One brain, two modes of thinking. They even spoofed the number so that it looked like it matches Google's support page. By the way, it wasn't a security number, it was just a spoof of the Google Maps phone number. And by the way, my GPS, Google Maps, is fine. And I kept saying, thank you for helping me secure my account. What can I do next? And also asking, but also can you please verify your authority? And for the most part, they kind of did. And it was all theater, but it worked. So then they moved on to stage 2. After that call, 5 minutes later, I get another security team call from a financial institution that I use. And they said, while talking to them that they actually spoke to Google security because somebody was attempting, get this, a back-end API brute force hack with my email and credentials. They asked me if I needed to explain what they had just said, but those were all words I had heard before, and I also didn't want to appear stupid. There was no time. I also could feel stupid hours later. But then they told me to go to a website and enter my credentials to stop it. And again, I kept thanking them. Thank you for helping me. Still asking them to also verify who they were. But they couldn't. There wasn't time for that. This was urgent. Time was scarce. Things weren't adding up, and when they asked me to add my credentials into a website that looked like my financial institution, but I knew wasn't, that was a big red flag that helped me snap out of it. And I finally hung up, but guess what? They actually called me back, telling me that they would not be responsible for the back-end hacker doing its things. I still hung up on them. Now here's the thing. They had me on the phone for over 45 minutes, probably close to over an hour. Now, it's embarrassing to admit, but that's the power of these tactics. They hit you when you're stressed, distracted, or emotional. And that's when System 1 thinking takes over. Click, whir. You're not reasoning critically anymore. You're just trying to fix the problem. Now, these pitches work a lot on people at their most vulnerable. I think that's what really bugs me. Here's the thing. Most of us think that we're too savvy to fall for the grift, but psychology says otherwise. Our brains are wired with shortcuts, heuristics, that usually help us survive, but can be exploited. I mean, here are some heuristic scams hit on. There's the optimism bias, okay, and that makes us believe bad outcomes happen to other people, not us. Remember when we were teenagers and did dumb things because we, with our underdeveloped prefrontal cortex, thought we were invincible? Then there's the sunk cost fallacy. Now, this is a cognitive bias con artists utilize to get their victims to reinvest in thinking things can improve when walking away is better. And as mentioned before, the authority bias makes us trust experts without question, and the scarcity bias, if something's harder to get, the more we want it. It hijacks our fear of missing out, so we act fast instead of thinking critically. Lastly, Cialdini even opens up his book talking about the perceived value bias, where things that are more expensive are deemed more valuable. So a can of beans for $1 for fiber is not as alluring as a box of fiber pills for $250. And it's not just wellness products or small-time grifters. Think bigger. Now, like if I can zoom out a bit, things like Bernie Madoff, one of the biggest cons in history, he didn't beg people to invest. He made his fund feel exclusive. That's scarcity. He leaned in on his reputation as a financial authority and let word of mouth create this aura of social proof. Some of the wealthiest, most successful people on the planet handed over their savings because they didn't want to miss out. They let their emotions and their greed take over. Or let's take Enron. Now, that's an old example, but there's this great book called The Smartest Guys in the Room, and I read that like a long time ago, but there is a Netflix movie by the same name if you want to check it out, and I highly recommend it. Now, as I recall, the CEO literally told the employees to buy company stock while knowing the company was crumbling from the inside. That's authority in action. Employees believed the CEO wouldn't steer them wrong, and 2 months later, their savings were wiped out. Now, Enron and Madoff were massive financial cons, and sure, maybe it's easy to roll your eyes at rich people losing their money, but remember, Enron employees were everyday people. They lost their jobs, their pensions, their life savings. The emotional devastation wasn't just about dollars, it was about trust. Trust that they were making the right choice for their future, for their life. And the same kind of trust is exactly what's getting exploited in the health space. We get protocols and powders and potions, each promising a shortcut to better health, more energy, longer life. Maybe that's why this really irks me, because that money can be used for buying, I don't know, vegetables or fruits that have fiber, or even a more affordable multivitamin supplement if you truly are deficient that has calcium or iron, or I don't know, maybe a gym membership, or save up for a treadmill, or put those savings into an account for a future vacation to reduce stress, or maybe just save your money. And it doesn't just stop at just taking your money, because these cons can go to dangerous places. In The Confidence Game, Konnikova interviews David Sullivan, a cultural anthropologist turned private investigator who infiltrated cults. Now, part of his work was extracting people from those cults. And he observed people, quote, are very hard to dissuade once they want to believe something. Now, I bring this up because Bryan Johnson has this don't die movement, which some are calling very cult-like. Now, remember Cialdini's 7th principle? Unity? People's belief in something that's greater than themselves. Now, if I can end somewhere, I will say health, whatever it means to you and how you can go about it, is more about real food, good habits, good science. Sometimes it's hard work, putting in the time and effort and avoiding the nonsense in between, not just believing or looking for shortcuts. I'll let Konnikova's words do it for me on why I want you to not blindly believe everything being sold to you in the health space. She concludes with, quote, ultimately, what a confidence artist sells is hope. Hope that you'll be happier, healthier, richer, loved, accepted, better looking, younger, smarter, a deeper, more fulfilled human being. Hope that you who will emerge on the other side will be somehow superior to the you that came in. Look, the real magic, the cauliflower water turning lemonade pink, but the fake magic, a $70 blue tonic with a cool name? Okay, maybe not that cool. Next time you see an ad making a big promise, activate that system 2 of purposeful, critical thinking. Before you whip out your credit card, sleep on it, Google it, or ask a friend who'll tell you straight up. Health isn't something you can buy in a bottle. It's shaped by the choices we can make, and let's be honest, the resources we have access to. Don't let anyone try to convince you there's a shortcut to a healthy life, when really, you might just be buying hope.